I guess you don't want to fall too far behind, but I think just maybe you thought this guy was going for that box, but I think just getting the box is like pretty important. Maybe you can even sit slightly for it, maybe get an 11 placer. It could have been start, could have been built, but I think what you like, I don't think it's a huge mistake, but I think it's like a small one. Oh, that guy is chilling. He's omega chilling. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't have minded if you change your star right here. I honestly wouldn't have minded, but I completely understand holding it. Like, you're playing not to lose, I think it's fine, but the chance of this guy shocking is actually like decently high, right? So in my experience, I think in this situation when he's so far behind, I think it's not too unlikely. You know, when you bag like this, I kind of I don't mind what you're doing here, but like you lose like one valuable second off of not getting your drift out here, maybe two valuable seconds. Just like a small thing. I don't think you could have done much about it, but I think that's just in general something people do a lot. Like I remember I just edited the VOD review of Fear. I just cut it down, and I saw him do this a couple times as well, where he comes to almost a full stop. But honestly, I don't think like what are you doing so far? I pretty much agree with it. Right now, I'm just picking on small things. I think you're fine to hold this golden, doing what you're doing. Yeah, I mean that box could have been nice. Yeah, that sucks. I don't necessarily think you did too many wrong things this race, but there's like small moments where you lose a crucial amount of time, right? And I think like let's go back to first set lap one, right? First set lap one, getting that box could have been important, and bagging as hard as you're doing here, like you lose like two valuable seconds, and sometimes that's gonna cost you. It could be what cost you, right? Maybe you wouldn't have been back bombed over here. It's hard to say, but this is rough to deal with. And I also think like either you commit to taking this wide box, just already when you see this situation right here play out, just already commit to the wide box, or just go tight if you don't want to go with that one. I think you're fine to go without a box. Because I don't think like anyone here is gonna have a red to hit you with necessarily. But right here, like you just kind of like lose a little bit of time and then you don't even get the box and then yeah. I'm not sure, maybe you didn't want to go super tight anyway because of that guy's trail, but I think sometimes like even the smallest time loss can matter. But I don't necessarily think you played this race too bad. Some box misses that could have mattered. Sometimes you just get back bomb like that, and sometimes Shark just gets spammed like that. But like the thing is, right, I don't have a whole lot to comment on right here because like you drop your start to this lap one Shark, you try to get a new one, you get a golden, try to get a new one, you get a golden. So what you're doing at this point is just already salvaging, and that's what you're trying to do, and you're doing the right thing. What I want to say here is, when you have triple shrooms right here, like if you pause right here and ask, like, are you gonna be in first by the end of or first or second by the time you finish Ultra? I think I would say no because like there's a couple of guys around you who could have shrooms. There's a couple of guys who could hit you. Like there's like having triple shrooms is just not that strong in this position. So I think I would just go left side here. You either option one, bag, bag again, or option two, just shroom up on the left here. Just shroom up on the left and just try to run from that. I think both options are fine here. Right here, this guy backs you, right? And you want to change your shroom and take wall glitch, and that's fine. But at the same time, you just pause right here. Look how close this pack is, right? You got another opportunity to bag here. And I know, like, it's a little late into the race. Dodges, they could be getting held right now. The Goldens are probably in play already. But I still think it's worth trying. I think I would just hit the sand here on the right. You know, just hover over here, just wait for the set, wait for people to pass you, and then get like a ninth, 10th placer IMO. You get a mega here, right? But you wouldn't have gotten one every time. So I think like this right here is what I would call an opportunity to bag, right? Because pack is close, right? But is if pack is kind of split and you know you're just in fifth, I think doing what you did is fine. It just so happens that this pack is not split. If you want to predict shock, right? Half the reason why dodging a shock early into the race is good is because you get to chain. Maybe you get to hold a shroom at first. Maybe you get to take cover with shrooms that you chain. It's about like getting into a higher spot, but also just getting to hold onto your item. That's super strong. That's like the strongest aspect of it. So if you want to predict shock here, I think you chain your mega here, or you hold this, I think if I were you, I think I would have held this. But I understand chaining last set, right? You saw what happened last phase. You held on to a star, and this guy spammed shock, and you lost it, right? So, but I would honestly, I think I would hold my mega, and I would like it more if you chained your mega right here where I paused. Maybe on the tide box though, you know. So you chain your mega here, and then you have a good chain. You have a, as opposed to chaining in what, like sixth here? Like surely one or two, one, two, three guys should be able to pass you by the time you get to first set. And then if you want to chain there, you have an eighth, ninth placer to work with. And you would have dodged shock. So if you want to play, if you're playing not to lose, I think losing your mega is fine. But if you want to play the prediction game, you know, like sometimes you want to do that, right? Because you saw what happened last race. I think you just predict first set because you can get a better chain. But never chain your mega like this. At this point, like you're better off just losing your mega here. But I think just a rule of thumb, like if you cannot chain, I think you are almost better off holding your dodge unless you know like say it was last set lap two, right? I think I would have still used my star. Get a golden here, that's solid stuff. Shock could happen, right? But we have to bank on the fact that it's not gonna happen. Try to avoid it next time, but that's something that can happen to everyone. But I don't think you need to back this fib. Say you fib this guy right here. That's just one less person ahead of you. That's just one more person bagging against you. Like instinctively, I do this shit a lot as well. If you like take a second to think about it, it's like, no, I shouldn't have done that. You could already be holding something good. You want that guy ahead of you, so let's try not to hit him. I think right here, shock has already happened, so I think you're alright to just go middle path. Like I know this guy's trailing and stuff. I'm not saying there's anything inherently wrong with going left path, but it is a tiny bit slower, right? It can maybe change out how the race plays out. I think POW shouldn't get you off as long as you do this. Did you do this left one? I want to see. No, you want left path. But as long as you aren't wheeling before for a good while, I don't think POW would get you off. But I understand wanting to respect the POW. The thing you should be respecting the most is shock, and I think in some situations you have to respect POW as well. The fact that it could be pulled and used against you, but you need to. You can't do that every turn, or otherwise you're gonna lose a lot of time, right? You still need to play your race. It's in like crucial moments, I think, caring about it is important. And you could argue that this a crucial moment, you know, getting powered off would be terrible, but you can counter that by just not wheeling. So when you get to how do I when you're like imagine this is a fucking line instead of this arrow. So when you're like here, just drop your wheelie. I don't think power should get you off. And then once you get this TC, just drive. Like even if you pass this TC, it's not really like amazing for you. You're just gonna find yourself in a bottom spot. Um, like I guess if you pass this TC, you could maybe salvage like sixth. It's not terrible, but I think if you just drive in fourth here and say you get TC'd on the left path up here, say you get TC'd here instead, um, right here I would pause. You could get shocked right here, and then you could try to salvage from that. But like it wouldn't be amazing. I'm not saying this is your win con. Like this is just another option of trying to deal with a shitty situation. Yeah, passing this TC, if you passed it, it would have been good, right? But like it's so bad when you don't pass it, you almost guarantee that you lose. So what I want to say or conclude with is that I think what you did is all right, but you know, uh, I- if you passed the TC, it would have been good. But another option is just driving, no stop. You know, don't stop. You pull the TC, you drive, and then it's gonna sap you here consistently. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to manage that. And then you would get shocked in like fourth, maybe get a box in like sixth. And I mean, for all I know, you could have been shocked off again. But yeah. Best of trying to get the best out of dealing with this shitty situation. And I don't even think you made a mistake touching that box because a mushroom gorge you kind of got you rely on getting a shroom. It could have been a mega as well, which would have been huge. Like I think MG is one of the few tracks where chaining is fair. I think you just back out as soon as you see this. Just go right path. Maybe you Yeah. I think you just thought you could handle this better, and that's fair. That's just what happens. But BCW is such an annoying track, right? Because playing not to lose doesn't really work here. There are so many boxes, right? And you can get punished for like, I don't think you're doing the wrong thing necessarily, but it's so difficult to deal with this track, right? Like what I'm imagining is you want to use your star to make sure you don't get TS'd off of this part of the track essentially. Like all of this, you want to make sure you don't get TS'd. But I think with this pack split, if you had changed your star right here, right? The guy in last, he's had two opportunities to get it. Maybe with a bit of map breeding, is it possible to tell? Daisy Shroom's past. He gets hit in last. Not really. I think he literally pulls shock first set here. So he's had three boxes to get shock. And I think with this pack split, I actually would chain my star. Like I don't blame you if you chain your star here, but the shock user, in order to catch up, he needs to use shock earlier than this area up here. So I would have chained my star here in eighth. I would have chained this box right here. Eighth place chain could be pretty solid, could be pretty shit as well, right? Because if you imagine you're the shock user here, imagine you're the guy in last. You're thinking, oh god, I kind of need to use this soon to catch up. Not necessarily like it doesn't have to go for everyone, but I think a lot of people would think this. So let's see. Bill is solid pull. Mm, this is dropping you after set, right? If you get like six out of this, then we are pogging. I wouldn't have blamed you if you held this Bill a little longer. Right here, when Bill drops you right here, three people ahead of you are getting chains, right? This guy could this guy could get a bomb, this guy could get a bomb, this guy could get a bomb. Like he could end your race in an instant. Not that you have a whole lot going for you, but I honestly think you're better off holding Bill a little longer. There's no threat here. And I think if you did that, you could have gone like sixth, honestly. I don't think this is a terrible play. I'm just saying, if you do this again, you could have been hit for sure. Yeah, I think getting this fast trick is actually like a pretty big part of getting up there early. Giving the guy respect, that's good. Oh, just a bit of lack of awareness maybe. You did look back. I guess you just didn't see him. It's just a happens moment. But I think the chance that someone could have it from lap one is actually quite high because you have no information from earlier. You were in like fourth, or lap one, yeah. You were in fourth, you got DCfied, and then you got pushed off, and then you come up here with no information about shock. Like, well, these guys have information and items already. What I'm trying to say is I wouldn't have minded if you used your star here, thinking, oh yeah, someone already has shock. It's kind of the same as BCW, but like this is not too bad either. But I think sometimes when like no shock has happened yet and you don't pull it yourself, it's kind of like okay now it's a little sus. Like unironically, I'm gonna use that fucking word. Like someone must have it already. Yeah, I mean you just roll low on the dice here. You get blooper in the eighth. That's just how it is. I would go for the box on the right up here though. I just try to point on my monitor as if you guys could see that. Right here, pull the blooper. Just go for another box. Yeah, so I think asking yourself in this situation, you don't pull shock, someone else could very likely have it from lap one. There's no downside to like using it. I mean, sure, if you ask yourself, if I get shocked here, can I still recover? The answer could be yes, but it's not awesome either. And then just go for this box. This could be crucial. I understand this guy build, right? So I think you got scared. But I think as soon as you get this A placer, maybe already prepare like it's an A placer, just already prepare by landing right side and hovering right side, just staying on the right side, preparing to get another box. When you're starting in seventh here, I would just say bag. Like make this a little rule for yourself. Just say if it depends on the track, right? It depends on what you're comfortable with. But I think what for me personally, in my case, it's like if I'm not in a top three spot on almost every track, I will probably just bag. But I have comfort tracks where I'm very happy with just going, right? And some tracks, bagging doesn't work that well either, right? Um, I think DKS, for example, I'm happy just going. DKM, I'm happy just going. But I think you're still fine to bag here, or you just gotta commit to a cut. But I understand both cuts were occupied. Trying to run is fine, but you gotta actually make sure you take cut because taking cut lap 1 on BC3 is such an integral part of winning. It is so important. It is the only consistent way to set yourself up to win. Or I think you bag at the start of the race here and you give yourself more options on what you want to do. You pull shrooms, you take cut. You pull a star, you could take cut, right? You said you're comfortable with cut. If you pull build, you could take cut. Hopefully cuts aren't occupied, right? But this is what we should be playing around. You get around to this section right here and you're holding a star and you see someone you're playing against often. For example, if I see Barney and have a star, I almost know he's gonna take ultra, right? That's kind of like a part of conditioning that like I see some players, like I see Susui, I know he's gonna go for ultra no matter what. But yeah, I think just bagging here, getting like getting like shrimps, you can take cut. Getting a star, chaining to take cut, that's fine. Holding star, that's fine. Like you have a lot of options. So just make it like a rule on a lot of tracks. I want to say like make exceptions on the tracks you're comfortable with running. But all like almost every track you want to do this, I think. So I think the shock was good, right? You denied people from taking cut. Like the thing is like you had something good going, you just couldn't get it across the finish line, and that's fine. Maybe you feel like some sort of pressure of wanting to get up there, but I really think you should just hold this mega. Like this mega right here is not guaranteed to get you any spots. Like I think you get into like fifth. I think that's what happens. But it's really not like outside of that, there's nothing going for you. So I think you're better off just holding mega. People naturally die at cut as well, like half of DKS races. Yeah, Warbird creeps in. I think literally like you could find yourself with a mega here and then 3 people, 4 people fail cut and then you just have a mega in a good seat. Okay, okay. Well, here you get punished for something. I figure you might already know about this, but touch this box, slow down for a second, and then by the time your item rolls, your item will have rolled around here. You pull the TC, and then it fades in the cannon. So you take TC into cannon. So every time you find yourself, yeah, yeah, I would really just recommend you start doing this by default almost. There are exceptions, obviously. When you pull this TC, first of all, I think your chances of passing this pretty low. And then afterwards, after passing it, you don't really find yourself in like an amazing seat anyway. I think I, I think I would just take the hit, honestly. I think either you are guaranteed to pass it. It's kind of the same as MG, but I think either, um, I'm talking about MG race you had earlier, by the way. I think you either go with this TC and take the hit, and then you can maybe do small double or just go, and then maybe shock happens. Because there is a small chance shock happens here, right? You use your mega because of that. So you would have been shocked before cut potentially if you wanted to chain. You get this TC, you can try to pass it, but I don't think that there's a whole lot of value in actually passing it. Like this pass is kind of ridiculous. I don't think you're gonna get that most of the time. Just either hold this mega or like make sure you chain it. Unless you are certain shock is coming. Like I think megaing here is actually alright as long as you make sure you can take double. But you lose a lot of time here. This is one of the tracks where I would make this rule apply, by the way. I think you find yourself in seventh here, and you what you're doing is alright. Like this if you change the spots a little bit, I think what you're doing is fine. But you're only getting a fifth place. I would just bag here. Just sit in the hole of someone who's taking a box up here, right? Sit in this box maybe. I think small thing, but just shroom here. Especially with this guy so far behind. And the fact that this guy behind you right now, I know this is your teammate coming up because he's taking cut. But this guy right behind you, he could have had a red. There's not much value in holding a shroom like this. How would you have shroomed here? I would have shroomed right out of cave here where I paused. Use one shroom here. Maybe use another one last turn and then use one around first turn or hold for shortcut. And that should put you ahead of this guy with a shroom left. These people right here, they're all like driving on ice, so they're already going pretty slow. And then second of all, they are drifting as well, so they're going even slower. So it's like the best moment for you to try to pass them. And you can take the turn faster than them last turn here because you have a shroom. I think trying to use the shrooms when you like are when you want to be doing a drift is way more valuable than just shrooming on the straight. I don't know how comfortable you are on this track. Okay, this is good. I like this. Of course, of course. Okay, what I want to bring up, I think right here on the turn. If we're at pause right now, if you change your shroom right here to try and get a first place box into first, I wouldn't have minded because not only are you getting ahead of him, but you're also like scaring him with a trail. You could have a fib, you could have a green, you could have a nana, and he has to respect all of those things. So I think right here you can shroom, you can get ahead of him, and then he can be annoying. So if you're comfortable with shrooming here and getting a decent mountain still, I think you could do that. The thing is, the only reason I'm really saying this is because I guess you get punished here for not like getting ahead of this guy earlier. Like if you want to avoid this to make sure this can't happen, I think your best shot is like shrooming up here, getting ahead of him and dealing with him early. But I don't mind what you're doing here. Like more often than not, you are not gonna get fib-redded. You gotta make sure you get the drift on the cut here. You slow down so much that you can't get your drift out, and that's just what happens. I do that too. But you gotta make sure you get this box on the right. Like you gotta make sure you get this. It could be another fib, you could get fib-redded again, but I think you gotta take cut in a way where it allows you to get a chain. You can do that by driving a little bit up on the wall here. Like right here, drive a little bit further up, and then you can take this turn tighter, and then you can take a better cut, and then you get a box. One thing I noticed throughout this entire thing, I think you are giving people a lot of respect, and I think that is pretty important, right? This guy has a TC, so you're basically just backing out immediately. I respect that a lot, but I think you're respecting them almost too much. Like, there's this balance of like, uh, playing not to lose, right? If you get this TC, your race could be ruined. But it's also just a matter of like losing so much time that you gotta ask yourself, is this even worth it? And you're kind of tipping the scale on like the is this even worth it part. I feel like uh, if you had lost like a second less or something, that could be quite important. But like this is a good fundamental that you have. It's just something that is like rough around the edges that you can work on. I think right here as well. This is about respecting others, right? You like your race is over if you get this. I understand that, but maybe you just gotta get better at like dealing with it in a faster way, you know? He's a red line. I think most likely he's gonna struggle passing it to you. So I think I would just like try to lose like a second less, and it could actually be very valuable. This is another situation where like you lose a lot of time for something that could be easily avoided. So I think right here, if you decide that yeah, I don't want those shrooms, right? Because I agree with that decision. If you agree, you don't want to use those shrooms to catch up because they're not gonna take you far. Just use all your shrooms at the same time, so you don't have to use the shroom like that because this is really uncomfortable. I mean, like everyone could do this and make this mistake, but just make sure like you could have Bill in a much better seat right now. I think you're fine to drop this Bill, and I say that solely because your Bill is just gonna drop you in third anyway. If you dodge, it's a good build, you know. But if you don't, it just kind of ends up right here, right? Like right now, you have nothing to deal with shock. You have nothing. You're just kind of in the mid spot, likely to get a TC or likely to get hit. So I think honestly, right here, you're fine to drop your bill. If you had bill in sixth, then go. Then I'm all for it. But you only get bill into third here. And it's not dropping you in a very comfortable seat regardless. I think you got max distance built, but that doesn't really matter. Because if shock happens right here, you could still play around, like, it can be available end of lap 2. If you were in 7th, if you were in 6th, I think I would have used... I don't see what you're doing here. You don't need to red this guy. Um, you don't want the night placer, right? So just let him be. If he's competition, you can red him. If not, just don't red him. I think right here, if I pause right here, you're probably expecting more people to go left path. So I'm not gonna tell you to just go left path. I think what you're doing here is fine. But like right here, I think when this guy has greens in front of you, and this guy has a red in front of you, and there are other people in front of you, maybe you just need to space a tiny bit, you know, just get ready for someone to get hit. Get ready for this to happen. It sucks, but like you could maybe prepare for this a little bit better. But I think bail right here, just use it instantly. Right? There are two reasons you should use it instantly, right? You want to get dropped into the next set, obviously, like duh, but you want to give this guy a box, you know, like you guys are like partners in crime, you want to try to work together to bail out, you want to get a good raise. Like if you bail earlier, this guy comfortably gets a box in last. But yeah, you really need to make sure you get a box last set. You really need to make I don't think you need to make sure this guy gets a box in 12, so it's shock. But I think giving him one, there's no harm. Because if anything, that just means he could pull shock, and then next set you can maybe pull Bill. Or maybe he pulls Bill if you get out of Bill early enough. You know, it's hard to say. But I think, honestly, I think right here, you could still have golden a little bit. But I understand why you're respecting it. And this is so annoying to deal with. But this guy is most likely not going to go for you because you're a blue line. And you're only barely coming up. Whereas he's more likely to go for the red line because he's a fellow redliner. But yeah, you're respecting the star a lot. It's hard to know where the hell he's gonna go. But most likely he is gonna go right because he just pulled a star. If you had held this golden right here, like you haven't slowed down for a whole lot of time. You get a box at like 6 seconds. If you had held this golden and golden through cut, I honestly wouldn't have minded. You're walking into this set with like a golden being available. So I think um, maybe you let this guy just go for like an 11 placer here. Because that gives you two more people ahead of you who touch boxes, right? And most likely they are gonna pull a golden. Not, I shouldn't say most likely, but I think like someone will pull a golden ahead of you. They could also pull the star, but I think that pulling a golden here is just so bad. Like you're just chaining goldens always. But I think sometimes it's worth like recognizing that a golden is available, right? So you can let maybe one or two more people touch the box, and then they get the golden instead, and maybe you got a star. But it could also happen that all of these guys are holding stars. If you had burned this golden, I actually wouldn't have minded because by the time you are here, right? This guy uses a star, so that means a star is open for you to maybe get. So what I'm saying is if you had burned this golden, maybe you could have gotten a star and maybe shock doesn't happen here, right? Maybe you don't get shocked and cut here. And then you get a star last set and then you could be holding a star. Cause like this golden isn't amazing. But what I'm saying is like I don't blame you for doing this. I'm just saying you're not like just burning this golden again in a moment where people are using their dodges, like you're kind of likely to get one, I think. And if shock happens and you get into set, it's yeah, it's tough, but it's kind of hard. Like I'm just bringing up another option right here. I'm not telling you that you did anything wrong here, to be honest. I'm just bringing up another option. For me, I think it's a 50-50. What you did could have worked, but it also could not have. That's a pretty rough event. You got punished for a lot of small mistakes. You got punished for a lot of small mistakes, and I think honestly, I'm kind of confident with what you have going. I think you have solid fundamentals. It looks like you need to get more comfortable. You need to play more. You need to polish all of those things a little bit, and then you're gonna get a lot better. So I think you're very much on the right track.